Welcome to Startup Wins. Twice a month, we share real stories and smart tips. Subscribe and join the journey.
Welcome back to Startup Wins. We have an amazing guest that I have known for, I think it's over a decade. And I am so happy to have her on the show here today. Yeah, without further ado, we have Xania Wong. How are you, Xania?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, Brandon?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful because after 7 attempts, I finally get you on the show. So Xania
Ah.
is currently in Istanbul. Before we even talk about where you're at right now, could you tell our audience who you are?
Sure. I'm Xania Wong, born in Canada, raised in Hong Kong, came from a finance and management consulting background, but then ventured into startup entrepreneurship. Done a few startups, and I guess the noteworthy ones include Jobdo, which I started in 2014. It's a technology company that originally started as AI-enabled job matching portal to hire gig workers on demand. So it's like the Uber for people back then. And then since then, we've expanded into financial services like payroll related services. So and also into Southeast Asia. So our operations now include payroll financing, cross-border payroll, crypto payroll, etc. But most recently, I've started working on a project called Doc Dash. So it's an AI-enabled Agoda-like platform to help people find medical treatments overseas.
You are obviously very good at taglines and presenting. I mean, the reason why everyone that I've met, Xania, is I literally had the fortune of sitting next to her at one of the competitions many years ago. Fortuitously, we had a conversation, and then a few minutes later, after getting to know her, she stands up and goes up, gives a presentation, and then she wins the whole thing. So, do you remember? Do you remember that night? I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, of course, of course. And I remember meeting you as well. So it was also a good fortune of mine. Yeah.
Well,
I'm
tell
always
us.
happy to be able to have like long friendship actually. So I'm also grateful that we are still in touch after all these
Well,
years.
I
So.
am as well. I mean, it's fun actually seeing your posts all the time. Like you usually post like a city and the dates, and then you're going somewhere. And frankly, I think you've traveled the world, which speaks volumes because you have probably a lot of different perspectives as far as how you think about things. But one thing I would love for you to share, if you don't mind here today, is you were wonderful at winning these competitions. How did you do that?
Well, one, it takes a lot of practice, so it didn't just happen on the spot. But I think the main thing was always to figure out what's the most important problem we were trying to solve, conceptualize and kind of create a story around that problem. So you build a connection with the audience. I think that's when you're doing these pitches where you don't have a lot of time to present, that would be one key success factor that I would highlight.
Okay. Well, do you remember? You said you remember. Do you remember why you won that particular competition? I can't remember if it was Google or who it was that you won that competition.
Actually, with Jobdo, we've won quite a few competitions. The Jobdo was actually founded because I was in the Google's Empowering Young Entrepreneur competition, and I came up with this idea. We won with this idea. So my team, there were three founders at that point, and so with this on-demand hiring gig workers platform, we're selected by Google as one of the winning startups. But I met you at the Chivas, the venture competition.
No, so Jobdo's been around for a while now. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about this journey, like at the beginning and maybe the chunky middle, and then maybe how you're feeling today?
It was really a roller coaster ride. It's not like it's I think there's no it's cliche, but actually I think it really showcases how the whole my both like the startup journey, but also my emotional journey while running Jobdo. So in the beginning, Jobdo came out as a early success in the sense that we won a lot of awards, we got a lot of press. We've never paid for our marketing actually, because we were able to generate a lot of press from all these awards, all these competitions, etc. And our early beta numbers were also very good. So I was able to raise money for at least like get some term sheet really quickly. And then we had some issue. I had an issue. Oh, actually, I guess the founding team had an issue. So that kind of slowed down attraction, but also put our fundraising at risk. So then, and then also then the numbers didn't come out as well as we wanted to comparing to the beta numbers. So then we went through a period where like, okay, we're not sure. I wasn't sure how long the business is going to survive until I developed the payroll services related product. And that's when we found core offering that were able to generate stable revenue for us. So then that helped the startup grow. And right now it's doing okay. I mean, it survives on its own.
Okay. So it's
It's profitable.
stable, it runs on its own. And I think you'd mentioned earlier when we were having a conversation before the podcast that you don't have to participate as much. And now you can focus a little bit on what was it again?
Doctor Dash.
Dash.
So
So,
it's like Doctor Dash,
uh,
Dash.
Dash. I
Yeah.
see. Oh, interesting. And how did this come about? Like, how did you decide on working on this startup?
So actually, no, I'm somebody of multiple interests. I get bored really easily. So
Okay.
once job though is stable, I was itching to try something different, but I couldn't come up with any ideas. But then my father needed to get 4 dental implants done in Hong Kong, and dental implants are not often covered by insurance packages. So it is quite costly in Hong Kong. So he was quoting me around 12,000 USD per tooth. And then I was like, okay, well, this is pretty crazy for like 4 dental implants. So let me check the prices in Singapore, and I checked Thailand. I even checked Myanmar because we actually have an office in Myanmar as well. So I checked all these places, and then I was going to have him get his dental implants done in Singapore. And we went through the process of trying to reach out to the clinic, have a call with the doctor, the dentist, and then I discovered this whole process is really cumbersome. So finally, I had him go through the procedures in Southeast Asia, and then I realized that there is, I mean, if you put in like economically, there's an arbitrage opportunity where you don't have to pay as much to get the same level of, or maybe even better, healthcare somewhere else. So why not? There just needs to be a platform that help people figure out where to go and what's the best, the most relevant treatments there are for them. So then that's why I decided to start Dash.
Okay, interesting. And you were what stage in Dash's
So we are early stage. We're still in the MVP, but we have revenue from day one. So we've been doing quite a number of patients bookings in the last like 9 months to a year.
and how's the team formation going? That's always an interesting part of building startups, right?
Team is good. I mean, I've worked with them before. I'm the sole founder, but the team is I have my own dev team, and the operations team or the launch team. We've had working relationships before.
No, you are obviously operating a startup or startups in Asia. I
Mm.
don't know if you've had experience working in the United States. I'm sure you've been here and other things like that. But do you think there's any distinct differences between Asia, perhaps, and the West, and maybe even Europe?
I have worked in Canada in my corporate life, but I haven't really have a startup experience in North America, except that I was pitching in the US because of the Google competition. What I think is interesting in the US is maybe US is kind of like China because it's a big market and it's more homogeneous from state to state. I mean, China is not homogeneous from province to province, but at least it's like, same one language. I think the differences is not as big as in, for example, the whole of Southeast Asia, whereas like the different countries with different languages, like different cultures, etc. So I think US is like probably in a way could be easier to tackle once you have the right blueprints for a particular state. So that's one hypothesis that I have. The second is that, at least from what I'm told, like fundraising, while it's a challenging environment right now to fundraise, I think it's easier to get bigger ticket size on good ideas than in Asia. So in Asia, I think they need much more track record. And also they prefer more maybe practical startup businesses to be invested. Whereas the US, I think they're a bit more kind of they could be more futuristic thinking.
So basically, transformative ideas would be really hard to pitch in Asia.
Yeah, a little bit harder. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you need definitely a little bit, or you have a more conservative kind of framework that you have to operate within whenever you pitch. Yes.
Yeah, so I mean generally I operate in startups that are or startup ideas that are I wouldn't it's not I mean I don't know if practical is the right word, but a bit more easier to understand by kind of normal business people. Like they can see the revenue model pretty easily
I
or
see.
pretty
I see.
quickly.
Well, we were talking a little bit before, and I'd like to kind of dive in a little bit in one topic because now you've done multiple startups. You even have the wine startup, right? That you have,
Yeah.
correct? Can you tell us a little bit about that before I continue with the question?
Yeah, so I'm a certified wine educator, I'm a WSET educator. I started a wine business like many years ago when I was still working in banking. So there's a kind of offline part where I do trading, I import export, and I do events. There was an online part where I developed I think one of the Asia's first kind of Vivino concept. Vivino is an app where you can scan a wine label and then see what the ratings are, and then you can order. So I was doing something similar in 2012.
Okay, got it,
But
got it.
the app side is that doesn't exist anymore. So
Okay.
for wine, I'm mainly doing offline,
And then
and
you
it's
have
more a hobby business.
Okay, okay. And then you've had multiple other startups, but the point or the question was, how do you feel about building teams? How do you feel about, you've done this a lot now. Like, what are some things that you can pass on to other people who are trying to do a startup as far as finding the co-founder, or should you be a solo entrepreneur like you're doing right now with Doc Dash? What are your thoughts about building teams?
I'm still learning, that's for sure. It's not easy. I think that if you have a good co-founder, it's definitely better to be working with others rather than solo. I wouldn't be doing a tech business if I didn't actually have in-house tech resources. Because I've gone through that, I've done startups where I had no CTO or I had to outsource the development work. I would never do that again. So for me, having in-house technology capability is a critical factor to whether I would touch a technology startup.
Earlier today, I was on LinkedIn, and one of my friends who's a venture capitalist, she was writing a lot about the cap table. Do you use the cap table a lot here at the beginning when you're trying to recruit team members, or do you just pay them salaries, or how do you bring on your team members? Is it equity? Is it a combination? Is it straight cash?
I think it's quite hard to actually use just equity. I mean, I don't think a lot of the employees or your team members today are willing to join just based on equity. So it's usually a combination of both. At the moment, we're doing mainly cash.
So that means you're raising. You have to raise before, right?
No, I mean we're a very lean startup, so our operating cost is not very high, so we're just using our own cash.
Okay. Well, then I guess then maybe Asia has an advantage because here in the United States, you got to pay a developer $200,000-$300,000, whereas I assume in Asia maybe it's a little less. Is that case? I mean,
Yeah, quite a bit less.
so maybe that's the advantage. So then again, then I would think that maybe we should do startups all in Asia because all the developers are less expensive. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, but I think the level of competency is also very diverse. So you might, I mean, I think perhaps in the US you could have more experienced developers, whereas like in Asia, there's a lot of times they're still learning on the job. Yeah, I mean, I think it needs to be assessed on a case by case basis. I
Well,
mean, there are also good talents in like Eastern Europe. So we
right.
try to also hire in Eastern Europe for tech talents.
And they're
But
affordable.
that's another challenge because you have to manage remotely. And usually I don't hire somebody remotely unless I've actually worked with them in the past.
Is that why you're in Istanbul? I mean, why are you in Istanbul, just out of curiosity?
So I actually live in four locations by choice. So I live in Hong Kong, Japan, Thailand, and Turkey is the latest addition. I spend about a month and a half per year here. However, for Dash, because we are a go-to for medical tourism, Turkey is one of the destinations. So we are adding hospital clinic partners on the platform from here.
You're basically biz dev right now at the beginning of the.
Yeah, partnership, biz dev, investor, because I pay for everything. So everything. So all the
Then you have some of the other challenges, which is moving money from country to country sometimes becomes kind of a challenge, no?
yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, there are if there's no currency control, I can bring cash in. Otherwise, there's Wise, there's Revolut, there's like bank transfer, there's crypto, there's different ways.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's interesting. Now with crypto, you're right. We could do all sorts of different things. So I will have to introduce you to my friend. He's actually from Turkey as well. He has a big payment
Oh,
system company. Yeah. So Honor, or they say Onar, or Owner, I can't remember,
oh,
but
and you are probably.
yeah, yeah. So he
Yeah.
he runs a large payments company, and it's actually he owns two others. So hopefully, maybe since now you're in Istanbul, might make a lot of sense. What other challenges have you had, and how are you overcoming these while building, this new startup and what you did with, I mean, Jobdo is more stable. So what did you do to make it so stable?
So our core strength in Jobdo is actually to pay people with no bank accounts.
Mm.
So we're one of the few platforms that can do that in um, in depth. So we're able to find that niche and help international companies manage their payroll services.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
think that's one reason for us is that we found the right niche for us to operate in.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So
Um,
that's yeah, and then we built our reputation from there. And we are one of the first to offer crypto uh, payroll, which I guess there's also like first mover advantage. Yeah, so that's on the Jobdo side. The challenges you mean in building Dash?
yeah, yeah. Let's talk about
Okay.
that a little bit.
So we're at the stage of MVP, getting the product market fit right. The demand I have already proven. So actually, I'm not worried that this business has no legs. The question is, how do we actually make sure our product is really satisfying our target users to a point where there will definitely be a retention, that we will definitely get repeat customers. So we're basically trying to figure out beyond our early adopting customers, how we can expand into customer group that are maybe think that there's a need for such a service, but not sure. So basically, we're trying to do B2C strategy to get more of these customers on our platform. So that's where I'm struggling a little bit because we're more used to doing B2B, but this is a B2C strategy.
Also, you have the extra challenge, and I'm not sure, but you tell me, you're a female founder. Do you have extra challenges, or do you not even care or think about that?
In Asia, at least in Hong Kong, I don't find it disadvantage. I don't find it a disadvantage to be a female founder.
Because
I think
we,
Hong Kong, China generally is male and female founders are pretty equal. I
so
think they care more about what your track record and what you can deliver.
Because in the United States, startup capital is distributed 98% to the men and 2% to the women. Is that not the case in Asia?
I don't know the numbers, but I mean Asia is a big place, but for Hong Kong, I don't feel that so much. I do in general think that there is a need to have more spotlights on female founders, or like maybe highlighting more female investors interested in helping female founders in particular. So I think we need to have more awareness and we should have more education around it. But personally, I don't actually see that as an issue for me anyway in Hong Kong.
It didn't feel like it
Hong
when
Kong
you
or Singapore actually as well.
Okay, Singapore as well. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
you won the competition and you've won lots of competitions and you beat lots of men in that competition, right? So obviously you've proven it. So it's interesting though to hear that that Asia's less so. Well, let me ask you the common question. How are you using AI these days in your businesses or even the incubation of the new one?
Yeah, so the AI is mainly used in Dr. Dash in two areas. One is when the patients come to our platform, they can either access our traditional portal, like you book a trip on Agoda, similar to how you book a trip on Agoda, or you can go through the chat base, so LLM focus. So you can ask questions based on your symptoms. You can put in, okay, your travel itinerary, whatever, and then it will recommend the type of treatment you should get and where you should get it. So that's one way. So it's basically from the beginning to help them figure out where to go and what treatments to get. The second area where we're putting in AI is that the patients can upload their insurance policies, and the AI will read and decide whether or advise whether the policy will cover the treatments that are recommended. And if the policy doesn't cover them, then our system will recommend other insurance packages for them to choose from.
So fascinating. So obviously it's expediting things, but are you also using AI in your own management of or creation of Dash, or also have you leveraged more AI for perhaps job dough? I mean, do you feel like it's becoming more and more like a part of the process? Are you creating agents? How are you feeling about AI overall?
So my team, whether it's tech or business team, they all use AI. So we use AI to help generate content. Some of the codes are written with AI. Yeah, so we use Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, Canva, different different AI software for different purposes.
The
I
United
am a combination. I use ChatGPT for like quick categorization of information. But for me, I always still cross-check the numbers if there's numbers involved.
Which is a great idea because the accuracy behind a lot of AI. Well, DeepSeek and Manus came out of nowhere, and then also Kimi as well on the AI front in China. Is Hong Kong is Singapore or even Japan and Korea developing their own solutions, or are you finding mostly AI coming out of China? Do you guys see the same excitement around AI as we are here in the West?
I think generally, yes, I think globally everyone is excited about AI. In terms of coming out the models, we did use, for example, DeepSeek when it first came out, but now we don't really use it because I think the input is not as strong as Gemini or ChatGPT. So kind of my team has dropped that. I haven't tried a Menace yet. I've looked through the product, but we haven't tried it. I think we actually generally don't necessarily know at first where the models came from, which country it came from. And we just decide to use it if we think that it's producing good results. And
Great.
yeah.
Well, I have two more startup questions. One is for you, and then the other one I'm going to ask you right now. But out of all the work you've done, and it's been years and years of doing startups, what are maybe your top one, two, three tips for any startup founders moving forward? Do you have anything that you would just say, okay, don't do this anymore, or maybe you should do this?
The first one is to figure out why you're doing a startup, because that determines how you are going to live. So if you're doing a lifestyle startup, it's very different from you doing one that you want to become a unicorn. And what you need to sacrifice would be different as well. So a lifestyle one, you can still have a life, probably get some good sleep, but not necessarily if you're trying to build a unicorn. That also then, like when things get tough, and then you always also want to go back to that question and say, okay, is this still worth it? Like, can you still continue to be resilient? So that's why I think the first question is why you're doing it. The second is be really clear about the problem you want to solve, and know that this problem has value, or check that this problem has value. So you don't want to solve a problem that people maybe care about but won't be paying for it if you're trying to make money, right? So yeah, so like be just crystal clear about the problem set, the pain point you're trying to resolve. And then the third one is to be very focused, hyper focused when you're just starting to test out your ideas.
That's great. That's great. Thank
Which
you.
I'm actually still wish, I mean, sometimes I get quite ambitious, so I want to try many things at the same time. So I have also need to constantly remind myself to kind of scale back and just like make sure I get this area, this target market, this even marketing strategy done well before we try different things.
Okay, the other question is, now that you've done it and now that you are onto this new startup, and then even with the stable startup of Jobdo, what do you need? What can we tell the world that Xania needs? And, do you need more team members, developers? Do you need more co-founders? Do you want a co-founder on Dash, or do you need a husband? Will that help? No, I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness.
Why not? Why not? I'm kidding. So for us, as I mentioned, our biggest challenge is the B2C strategy. So we just need growth hackers. Right now we're trying to use us to engage as many freelance content writers as possible. But yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for good growth hackers.
Good, good. And you're going to pay them lots of money, right? So that they'll come to
Those will come with some sort of equity. Money plus equity.
and,
Uh,
and what about these growth hackers rather, do they need to be based in Istanbul or Japan and the other two locations, or can they be remote?
In fact, actually, we are trying to hire growth hackers in every market that we're trying to attract patients. So yeah, they will be remote.
Okay. But they need to be
So
fluent in Turkish and Japanese and the other.
yeah, so like for example, we are trying to get Australian and New Zealanders onto our platform. So then we'll hire a content writer in Australia and New Zealand. We're
Okay.
trying to get Saudi Arabia, so then we're gonna hire somebody based in Saudi Arabia, or at least in that region.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for all that on the startup basically details. I think that's going to be very helpful for our startup founders. I have one question because, like, when we end the show, we like to ask three questions, but one additional one that I used to ask on my education podcast. You've spent many, many years barreling through, like I said, through startups or also working, in Canada, it sounds like. But there must have been some hard times, right? Some difficult times. How did you get through those hard times?
Well, there are a few ways. One is sometimes I just lay in bed and not move, not get out for a day. Like there were days where I just didn't feel like doing anything, so I just like chill in bed, maybe play with my phone. The other one is I actually like to run uphill during sunrise. It gives me energy when I see the sunrise and I'm going uphill. So yeah, so actually every time I run uphill and see the sunrise, I feel like, oh, a new day has come, so I have a new chance.
Well, I'll be honest, that's the first time anybody said that. So that's a very interesting answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I've
for me,
done.
for me, yeah, when I see the sunrise again, I'm like, oh, I got a new chance. Another day is to do something different. So it actually really energizes me.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. Well, we end the show with three questions, like I said. The first question is hopefully inspirational for everybody else who might have a hero. So who, or rather, who are seeking a hero, who would you say is a hero in your life?
So for a long time, it was Elon Musk, because I really admire his. I mean, I think he's still from a vision point of view, technology, I guess technological vision point of view. Still think he's a hero. He is always thinking about the future, and he's not afraid to build something around it. So I think that I would consider my hero. On his like other endeavors, political, personal, whatever, I'm not going to comment, but only on his work track record, I would coin him as my hero.
Okay. And how about, since we're talking about somebody who has a better political track record, what about maybe a role model? Do you have any role models that you would say people should think about?
I am not sure. This one is difficult for me. I've been asked this question before, and still haven't been able to. I mean, I think I used to have some, and then over the years I lost them, and right now I don't really have one that's top of my head.
Well, let me ask you this question as a follow-up. So why can you not choose a role model? Are they disappointing you, or have people disappointed you? Is society disappointing you?
No, I just think that's like for me, if I have to be, because I mean, a role model will need to be inspiring me all the time. I mean, I guess as I grow and I tackle challenges on my own, rightfully or wrongfully, whether I did it well or not, like I kind of own it, like if you know what I mean. So it's hard for me to keep thinking of someone who can inspire me to go through those challenges. Because I think at the end of the day, oh, like you still just have to rely on yourself. So I mean, entrepreneurship is a really lonely journey, right? So unless you have a really good co-founder, so that he or she can understand you. But generally, it's a really lonely journey. And I think it's not easy to find somebody who you can always like go to, whom you think will understand your problem and who can continue to inspire you, which I think what would be what I would need from a role model.
Well, I'll be honest, and it kind of makes me think that you might be a role model for other people. Like,
Thank you. Thank you. I'm
and
not sure I'm that inspiring, but thank you.
well, the last question is really easy. What's your favorite food? You know, when I went to and lived in Hong Kong for the time, I'll be honest, I had a hard time finding kind of my favorite Hong Kong local cuisine. But what's your favorite cuisine or food since you've been all over the place?
Oh, Japanese for sure. That's why I spend 2 to 3 months a year in Japan.
I would agree. It is a wonderful country for some of the best. And so, are we talking sushi? Are we talking, soba? Are we talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, sushi, sashimi.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, awesome. Yeah, they do have really fantastic. I will send you one recommendation that I had on my last trip to Tokyo, in case you haven't been there in the Ginza district. It was probably one of the best stand-up sushi restaurants that I've ever been to. So
Please
anyway,
do, yeah.
yeah, I will do that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Xania. Now, it's been a little bit challenging, obviously, finding the time to get on the podcast today, but maybe somebody will be inspired to talk to you in the future for another podcast, and especially for your new startup. How do people reach you? And I've known you for 10 years, so I've been lucky, right? And we're Facebook friends. But how can somebody reach you outside of Facebook or other contacts? Like, can they reach you on LinkedIn, or how would you say
Yeah,
they
I'm
should
on
reach?
LinkedIn. I mean, my email, my company email we can share. But yeah, LinkedIn is good.
Okay, okay. And do you want to do more podcast interviews?
Sure, why not? Depends if we can schedule it, right?
Yeah, well, that's the challenge, right? I think your next startup should be some scheduler app that makes sure that both sides can find the right time. I think that.
Oh, I'm sure there's already one. Tons, tons of AI scheduling apps. So.
Okay. Well, it was wonderful catching up, and it was wonderful listening to your story about both the startups. I wish you the best of luck with the next
Thank
startup.
you.
And I hope it won't be 10 years before the next time we catch up. Yeah, thank you so much today, Xania, for sharing some of your insights on the startup world.
Not at all. Thanks for reaching out.
If your calendar isn't already set, you're missing out on startup wins. Industry leaders, top advisors, and incredible tips await. Come back for future great episodes and entertaining guests, and come back for more insider strategies and incredible stories from the brightest VCs, founders, and operator experts. We're bringing you the best in the business twice a month. Hit that bell and stay winning with Startup Wins. See you soon.